Welcome to Beating a Dead Horse, the podcast where we take the things that have been talked to death and talk about them some more. Please submit topics to Twitter at hojjoshMC, hashtag Beating a Dead Horse. The podcast is recorded live at twitch.tv/hojjoshMC, so if you haven't caught one live, come and check it out every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And now, your hosts, Josh and Jonathan. This is Beating a Dead Horse. All right. Well, hello, everyone. I did miss that name that I can't pronounce. I did miss them. They didn't show up in my chat list, though, so that's weird. But anyway, we're going to get this show on the road.
That's right.
With a little bit of tech news, tech leaks, tech rumors. Rumors more than anything.
What we hope is fact.
Apparently, one of two things is happening to us, and I've heard two arguments.
Yeah.
One is that Apple is leaking like a sieve.
Yeah.
Or Apple is trolling all of us and are releasing a bunch of fake stuff so that we don't know anything about what the iPhone looks like.
Yeah.
I've read both of those sides. There's one article I read that was like straight up like, yeah, we have no idea what the new iPhone looks like at all. Like when the thing happens, it's going to blow all of our minds, which I'd be cool with too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine.
But so we have another Apple leak to talk about. We had mentioned, I think, before, and if we didn't, whoops. The screen. Tell us a little bit about the supposed screen of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to take everything with a grain of salt, I suppose. But there was a YouTube video that came up like yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already had like 1.3 million views, so obviously people are interested in iPhone 6. But supposedly it is the front glass of the new model, which is supposedly sapphire. I mean, nobody really has an idea of whether or not that's the case unless they're manufacturing the stuff. But I mean, literally, this person is like bending the glass in the YouTube page, and like scratching it with a knife, and nothing scratches it; it doesn't break. So, if it's not sapphire, then it's some sort of new thing, because usually glass tends to snap whenever it's bent.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, at really extreme angles. And this thing is really stupid thin. I mean, it's not like it's a thick piece, and that's why it doesn't, like, it's super thin. So, it leads credence to it maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I looked at the video, and this guy, like, literally, like, steps on it and just bends the thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't break.
It doesn't break. There's no scratches or anything. I mean, it's just... I mean, I've never broken an iPhone screen. Like, I know tons of people that dropped them all the time.
Yeah.
And that's never been me. I've only ever had, like, a tiny scratch on mine, because I don't drop my phones.
Yeah.
I hold on to them like a man. But apparently people drop them all the time. And it was a really big problem with the 4.
Well, that's,
But I have the 5, so I just got the front to deal with. But yeah, I've never dropped one, but I have a feeling that everyone that's dropped an iPhone is, like, praying that this is for reals. And I am too. I'm excited. I've been looking more and more because I'm up for upgrade on my phone. I have an iPhone 5. I'm up for upgrade right now. I'm just waiting. I could go get a new phone right now, but I am biding my time. I think... I don't know. I want to go 5.5. Like, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about rocking the phablet. But at the same time, at 4.7, the more I see it in people's hands, the more I'm like, Jesus, this thing is big.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know.
I think I can add a couple things for me. I mean, like, at first glance, like, the 5.5, it's like, oh, God, like, who wants that huge of a phone?
Right.
But then you see pictures, like, mock-ups of it, and you're like, wow, that's... like
pretty gorgeous.
But I think the other thing will be if there's like a battery plus with the 5.5 inch, then I might be tempted to go for that one.
Yeah, and that's.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I want to talk about when we're talking about leaks. Supposedly, both of these phones are going to have larger batteries.
Yeah.
But we're being told not to expect any jump in battery life. Right. Because with the screens being like the sapphire, and with the screens being bigger, they're going to be more hungry than ever.
Right. The increase the battery that there is just to like make way for for the bigger screen. Yeah. So
I don't know, that bums me out, because I do, as an iPhone user, as someone who has spent the better part of last year and this year traveling a lot, I'm very familiar with being a wall hugger.
Yeah. Well, I think that Samsung ad that was released recently probably hit home for at least a good portion.
Oh, definitely. And I don't want to be away from that, but at the same time, I don't want to not have an Apple phone. Yeah. So I mean, you just can't pull me away. So hopefully we're going to get a little bit better battery life. Who knows? I know I'm very excited. I keep seeing them in the hands, and I'm excited. The only thing I'm thinking about, that I just thought about, is are they still going to have all 3 color options? Because we've only seen 2.
I think they would be dumb to get rid of the gold option. I think just because it's been.
I know, because I want my pimp phone.
Your pimp phone, you're gonna have it.
I mean, it's
especially
gold.
if you get the 5.5-inch edition.
For sure, if the 5.5, it's got to be pimp phone.
It's got to be gold. Yeah.
I'll put like a purple background on it, like a big Crown Royal bottle. Just taking up all of my face as I make phone calls. That's right. I'm excited about texting.
If you get one, just don't get an OtterBox for it. That's really just the one thing.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose. Why don't you get the phone?
I get behind these people all the time. They have like notes, it's just like it's like an iPad Mini.
For sure. I know. I want one so bad. I'm so ready. I'm with you. I want this to be over with. I don't care. I just want my phone. Right. Announce it now. Give me, it can be a couple of months, but just because I'm thinking, if I'm Apple, they got some serious leaks. If it is that, if it's the other thing, and they're releasing these on purpose, that's brilliant on their part.
Yeah, I mean, I think I go back and forth between whether or not it's a leak or if it's just them fishing.
Right.
Because on one hand, they're obviously they're going to manufacture millions of these bags. So it's not inconceivable to think that someone's managed to steal one.
Steal one, yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know. It could go either way.
I don't know. I'm very excited though, and I can't wait to see what they got going on there. Let's look at. Let's look at JBJ's question real quick. See what that is, and then we'll go into the rest of our stuff. So let's pull JBJ's question up here, and I'm going to mute the mic while we do that.
Yo, you dead horse beaters.
This is JBJ. And this is my question. What's in your pockets? That is my question. Bye-bye. And
thanks for the great show.
Oh, man. I gotta say, before I answer this question, JBJ and I had a conversation on Steam the other day, and I gotta say, I think you might be our #1 fan, bro.
For sure.
Because you talk about it, and you say you love the show so much, so we're so glad that you're here.
Absolutely.
And it's cool, always cool to get your questions in. So the answer to what's in my pockets is unfortunately really boring, because I am wearing athletic shorts. I'm wearing athletic shorts, and because I'm home, and when I'm home, I'm wearing comfy pants. And I don't keep anything. My phone's on the table. I have nothing in my pockets, so I'm not dreadfully boring.
I'm not much more exciting. It's just my wallet and my
just
phone.
Your wallet and your phone. With your giant battery, because
my giant battery case, because my phone is a 4S and doesn't hold a charge.
Mine doesn't hold a charge, and it's a 5. It's just old. I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. That's what's in our pockets. Sorry, that wasn't more interesting. Sorry, but yeah. Let's talk movies for a second. It's no surprise. Oh, by the way, let me point out. I just want to put. So Jay, you said in the notes. I don't know if you read it. He said in the notes to his little audio question that Christian Bale rocks as Batman, and I just want to go on the record and say that no, he does not, and that is our Christian Bale reference for the week.
That's about the same. JJ wanted to make sure we just
threw
that in.
We should fire off an alarm every time we mention Christian Bale. There's an air horn every time.
Every time.
And
he has a new movie coming out too that you're gonna have to sit through.
Was that the one where he's playing Moses?
Yep.
Yeah, we got Bat Moses going on.
Bat Moses. It's on the sci-fi.
man. What? Is it really?
No.
Oh, I was like, is that a thing?
No.
I thought this was a for real movie.
I figured Bat Moses will probably come out.
Has he like? I was
at
like,
some point. He has wings.
I was like, has he gone so far that he's on the
Yes.
Sci-Fi Channel?
He's flying people out.
Bat
of
Moses saving other bats
That's right.
from captivity in zoos.
Slavery bats.
Slavery bats. Oh, okay.
It's debuting after Sharknado 2.
Just Sharknado 2, Electric Boogaloo. But no, real movie news that doesn't involve Christian Bale.
That's right.
So Kevin Smith, the director of Clerks and Chasing Amy and Red State and Clerks 2 and Mallrats and plenty of other brilliantly done films. Red State, by the way, fantastic if you've never seen it.
Yeah, it is. It's
so good. Anyway, Kevin Smith got to go visit the Star Wars set. J.J. Abrams' Star Wars movie that's filming, and he cried. And that's for real. Like, he posted a picture, and he's like got tears in his eyes. And okay, so here's the thing about Kevin Smith. He's pretty much the go-to. Will the nerds like it? Let's ask Kevin Smith.
Right. Yeah. Good barometer of.
Yeah. So J.J. Abrams apparently asked him to go and come visit the set. Which, by the way, I'll link down in the show notes when we put it up on YouTube. I'll link that video, and I'm also going to drop it in chat right now, so that people here can go check it out at a different time. Not right now. We're talking here. But he basically did a little talk. Where was he when he did that talk?
I'm not sure. He was some school over in Europe. Some school,
and he was giving a talk, and people were asking questions. And he talked about as much as he could about the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So basically, J.J. Abrams flew him out there, or had him fly out there. Probably didn't fly him out there. Kevin Smith's got enough money. So anyway, he gets out there, goes visit the set, has to sign this egregious NDA. That's a non-disclosure agreement, which is expected. You have to do that sort of thing. And what I took away from the video more than anything, and made me so very excited, is just kind of the childlike wonder that he had about the whole thing. Like, if you watch the video, I mean, the man's like about to break into tears again, talking about it. And he made some really valid points that weren't even really related to the new movie. Yeah. That I wanted to talk about a little bit before we get to the new movie stuff. But he talked about the prequel movies. Yeah. And I am a reformed Star Wars prequel viewer. And what I mean is, actually, I've gone back and forth. So I came out when I was younger. I mean, I was like, I don't remember how old I was when the first prequel came out. But I was in high school when, like, the second or third came out. Mm-hmm. I was older, maybe middle school. Anyway, old enough to know, like, these aren't the best movies ever. Right. But I didn't hate them with a hot, fiery passion. And then as I got a little bit older, towards the end of high school, beginning of college, I decided they were the worst movies ever made. And I was very much, like, anti-George Lucas and, like, screw that guy. He ruined my childhood. Mm-hmm. And then over the past couple of years, I've come to enjoy them again. For a lot of the reasons that Kevin Smith said. He said, Star Wars, the original trilogy, I was a kid. So I was viewing it through the eyes of a kid. Right. And, it became kind of home for me in a time that there really weren't, like, we're definitely spoiled with nerdy movies now.
Oh, sure.
And so nowadays we're kind of spoiled, but then, I mean, that's what we had. Yeah. It was Star Wars. That was the thing that united us all. Yeah. And so the original trilogy for me was so much of my childhood. And when I looked at the new ones more recently, the prequels, I was like, you know what? They're kids movies. Yeah. They're made for a new audience to get into.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I don't think I've ever, like, egregiously hated them. I hate Hayden Christensen. I still particularly don't care for it all, but
you're in my very soul, tormenting me.
Just horrible. Anyway,
yeah, he's bad.
I mean, Jar Jar has a better personality, quite frankly. But I mean, I'm trying to think when that first movie came out, 99, 98, something like that. Yeah. I would have been in high school, but You know, I didn't hate them when they came out. I was just excited there was a new Star Wars movie coming out. Right. You know, I think I can watch them now, and I can appreciate them. I mean, they're still not my favorite.
It's not the same.
But with that being said, I don't think it's like the worst thing to ever happen to cinema or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I am very excited about, you know, the new ones.
I'm very excited about the idea of J.J. Abrams kind of... Kevin Smith talks a lot about, like, it kind of feels like coming home, like these are friends that you haven't seen in years, and that's really kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Because, and I think it means a lot. It makes sense when you think of, like, the prequels were parts of this world we'd never seen before. There were people in this world that we'd never seen before. It was like, I say it was like you went back in the past. I mean, you did. You went back in time to a time before the movies we saw, and so it's almost a culture shock that happens.
Yeah.
Beyond the fact that they're not, I don't think they're as well put together movies.
Right.
But there's almost a sort of culture shock that happens that I think makes it hard to tell, like, what's just bad movie making and what's like, this is just wholly different from what we know.
Right.
But where we're coming in now is taking place after where we started, which means that these characters have grown up. These characters have deeper things than kind of what we saw before, because they're not. This isn't for kids.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to say that JJ is going to put things in there that kids are going to like.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be. I have more than sure it's going to be still a movie that's wide enough range.
Right, but again, this is our Star Wars. These are our Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
These are the ones we grew up on. It's like you're coming home. You're seeing friends you haven't seen in however many years, and I'm very excited. Yeah. And Kevin Smith's basic point, just to get to the end of this, was basically like, if you're worried about the new Star Wars and if he's going to mess it up, don't. Because everything he's doing right. There's a lot more practical stuff. He said he saw scenes and pictures and stuff, and it's all looking like it should. It's feeling like it should, and that alone makes me okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know what that has to do with, like, the one wanting to rewrite, and I don't know. And that's...
Well, I mean, they have said that, you know, they're going to take 2 weeks off in August.
Okay.
To allow for Ford's injury.
Okay, cool.
So I'm assuming they're not doing a whole lot of rewriting.
That's great.
If that's the case.
That's good. So that's basically Star Wars. If you're worried, don't be. Kevin Smith said it's all good.
Yeah.
And I trust him. I trust him. I mean, he's a good movie maker. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about, and he's a nerd's nerd. I want to answer this question. JBJ just asked us in the chat, have any of you two cried to a movie or a game? Yes. I've cried to many movies.
Yeah, movies for sure.
Because, I mean, I've always been kind of a sap when it comes to movies.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I cry more. Braveheart used to get me all the time. It still does. Like, when I watch Braveheart, I'm boo-hooing towards the end. Because, spoiler, he dies. The movie's really old. Get over it. Lord of the Rings, I cry in. The last one, Return of the King.
I mean, every time Frodo goes to get on the boat, I'm just like...
Oh, it's not even that for me. I mean, that part gets me, but the, like... I can't carry it, but I can carry you.
Oh, well, yeah.
And Sam just picks him up. Like, I'm just like... what else gets me? I mean, Les Mis gets me every time.
Yeah, Les Mis, yeah.
Sure. Musicals do, like... Phantom of the Opera is my favorite musical. Yeah. I boohoo every time through that. Movies just get me. I mean, Spider-Man 2 almost got me. Like, I mean, it was Spider-Man 2. I mean, I know there's, like, if you haven't, I'm not going to spoil that one, but if you haven't seen Spider-Man 2, there's some stuff that goes down that's particularly sad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, that scene, but even not that bit, like, other parts of the movie. Like, Aunt May says some stuff that's, like, real, like, family-oriented and, like, you're my son, I raised you, and I'm just like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
Stop it, Sally Fields. You're making me cry.
She was... Well, you talked about this. I mean, she did a really great job.
She's so good.
Yeah.
And games... So I'm trying to think... I don't know that a game has ever pushed me to that level. I haven't finished Beyond Two Souls, so I don't know where that's going to... But I think it could be one that could. But no, not a game so much, really. again, I don't know where I haven't finished Watch Dogs, so maybe Watch Dogs could, but I'm not quite sure yet. Not really games, but movies all the time, TV shows all the time. I'm a sissy. What about you?
Oh yeah, some of those same ones you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, particularly like I could not watch Lord of the Rings and just put that one scene on whenever they found out that Frodo's leaving. Like,
yeah.
And that gets me. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I could just walk in and turn it on and it would just be over. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way when it comes to movies. They tend to get to me.
It's gotten really bad. I just started watching American Ninja Warrior, and some of the stories of these people, like, trying to get to American Ninja Warrior, I'm finding myself, like, tearing. I'm like, no, this is not okay.
Not allowed to cry during.
I'm about to watch them, like, go through an obstacle course. This is not the sad, depressing time.
I know, yeah.
But, yeah, man, and I think it's just as you get older, like, emotions just, like, register different. And I think it has to do with, like, how long you've been on the earth.
Yeah, for sure. I think, well, growing up, like, there's a lot of stuff in movies that happens and you're like, oh, that's really sad, but it's not like something you've experienced really at that point. But,
yeah.
But, I'll be 30 next year, so, like, I've experienced more. So I think it's, it hits you differently.
It does, because, you even if you haven't experienced whatever you're seeing on screen, I think as you get older, you're able to associate it with something.
Yeah.
And, it makes you cry. Being asked in chat, we just got a new person coming in, Hatterera, and they're asking me how I'm doing. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well, too. We're going to keep rolling on talking about movie things.
Yep.
And so what I want to talk about is the Jurassic Park leak that we just had. You guys know Jonathan and I are very into Jurassic Park. Jonathan probably more than me. But I am very excited about it. But today was it that it happened?
It was today, or you must have been late yesterday, but I think it was today.
Yeah, so a picture leaked of, and I'll put this in the show notes in YouTube, but a picture leaked of the Raptors.
Yeah.
For the new movie, and the internet, okay, here's the thing about the internet, and I should have cued the it's okay to not like things, but the internet just has this capacity to just instantly hate something it just found out about.
It's true. And
when that happens, and it happens a lot, the internet just kind of explodes into a diarrhea of hate. And
it's very colorful imagery.
It happens with every big nerdy thing.
Yeah. And
really not even just that, but definitely nerdy. Nerds were the worst. We're behind our keyboards yeah, it's not canon and blah 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 blah.
It's a really rough crowd. Yeah.
Because we couldn't do anything in person. Birds I'm gonna punch you in the face.
That's right.
I just shut up. You're not going to.
Right.
And especially you're not gonna do anything to the people making this movie. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much you think you hate this movie, you're going to go see it because you're a nerd and because you love it. So, moving along to what the thing looks like, I think it looks scary as crap, and I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the complaints where it's it looks just like the first one, and I'm like, I don't know what you expect. That's the whole point.
Right. Let me get super nerdy for a second.
Right.
So, the first movie takes place on one island. The second and third movies take place on a completely different island.
Correct. With
completely different dinosaurs. And I don't remember the storyline, but I'm assuming they were created in completely different ways.
Well, the story, supposedly in this...
right.
The story in the second one is that they, bred the dinosaurs and everything in Site B, which takes place in the second movie.
Right.
And then transferred them over to the other island for the park purposes. But... per the first movie, they bred them lysine deficient, so technically they should have died without some sort of human interaction. But the explanation given in the second movie is that the herbivores eat plants that have lysine in it, and then the carnivores eat the herbivores, so therefore they're getting the lysine. So they're they're carrying on further past what they're were designed to be.
Okay, I gotcha. So. Cool. So my assumption is okay, so they look like the ones in the first one. Well, first of all, the first one was the one that was the best, so maybe it's the best idea to go towards that direction. Second of all, if they just abandoned the island, which they did, you kind of think that whenever they come back, because this new movie takes place on the original island, whenever they come back, that's their starting area, is these dinosaurs that are, around.
Right.
The ones they started with originally. So you gotta assume they probably look similar. The complaint I heard was the feathers thing, but here's the thing. That's the thing that science was doing really heavy when those 2 movies came out, and now you don't see it as much. Like when you go to museums, you don't even see it as much. So I don't care.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, like the Velociraptor in the movie is not what a real Velociraptor is.
Not even close, because they're like smaller.
Yeah, so like it's kind of silly to be like, well, this isn't technically like nothing. Of course, it's a movie. Like obviously they're not like 100% accurate. So it's kind of silly to be nitpicking facts on the fictional dinosaur.
Fictional dinosaur, for sure. The one thing we mentioned, or you mentioned, was there's this thing around the dinosaur's mouth, which I can't tell if it's something practical for them doing the movie, or if it is something that is for like the sake of set. Like, is it some sort of cage to keep the thing from gnawing at things? Which, given what happens with all the Velociraptors in the first movie, would make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it could just be something for them on the production side of the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't know. I told you, I don't know why in the background all I see is like a mailbox with a Triforce on it. That's all. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either.
So, but yeah, I'm super stoked, and I just can't, like, I'm looking at the eyeball of this thing right now while I'm talking, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing like a shot of like a door open, that eyeball peeks through. That's scary as crap. And I'm glad that they're going practical. That's the best way to do it. I mean, I know we can do crazy things with effects, but there's a reason Jurassic Park, which is ungodly old, still looks fantastic, and it's because they went practical wherever they could.
Yeah.
And if you want to recreate that feel, then that's what you got to do.
Well, it's interesting because like it's almost kind of the same. I feel like the same train of thought as the new Star Wars.
Right.
I mean, like with the prequels, everything was
everything was digital.
Everything was digital, even when it didn't necessarily need to be. It was digital, and so I think people are just starting to get a little burnt out almost.
Right.
With CG everything.
Now there are movies that need it.
Yeah, I mean, there's movies that can't exist without CG.
But I think something like this, because we're all going into it wanting to feel the way we felt with the first Jurassic Park.
Right.
For us to feel that way, it's got to feel the same. And if you do it all digital, it's not going to.
And there will be some digital stuff in it,
of course,
obviously. But like, I think going back to kind of the practical aspects are great.
And I venture to say that the digital stuff we do get will look better than Jurassic Park.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But I think the practical stuff is going to look better too, but in like a very much evolved way. Like it's going to feel like, oh yeah, this turned into this.
Yeah.
Which is what we need. And so I'm very excited and couldn't fangirl more about this movie at all. And then the other thing we had to talk about that is real quick. Apparently, you said there might be showing something at Comic-Con.
Well, Phil Tippett, who worked on the first one, or I think he's worked on all of them, but is working on this one too, kind of like hinted that they were unpacking an old friend to take to Comic-Con. So I don't know exactly what that means, but more than likely, I'm sure it could be that. I mean, it could be the Raptor itself. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see. We're only a couple weeks away.
That is interesting. And we're probably going to get tons of Comic-Con stuff. Like, I mean, you always get reveals at Comic-Con, so definitely we'll talk about that as we come to it and find things. Like, that's definitely something we'll be all over, so don't sweat it.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened this week is Guardians of the Galaxy preview. There was a 15-minute preview yesterday of Guardians of the Galaxy, which we were not allowed, or we weren't allowed.
We were allowed to go.
We asked our parents; they were like, "No,
we can't go."
We were not able to go to because you found out about it pretty quick.
Yeah, I tried getting us tickets,
and they sold out. Yeah. I was able to talk to a friend who got to go see it. Yeah. And so the best I can do is link you to his article, which I'll do right now in chat, and I'll put in the show notes when we get it over to YouTube, so you can check that link out. But basically, what he said about the movie, he said that it feels good. It feels different than the end credit scene that we got at the end of Thor, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
that end credit scene is weird.
I think it's one of the few end credit scenes that was not feeling at all.
I mean, I appreciate it because you got to get the Collector, and you got to. I mean, the Collector's a weird character, especially when nobody knows anything about Guardians of the Galaxy. That just kind of felt weird. His room of all the things is weird. We don't know anything about the glove yet, the Gauntlet of Power. We don't know anything about it, so it's hard to associate unless you're like a super nerd. It's hard to pull any feelings into that. Yeah. He said that this movie doesn't feel anything like that end credit scene, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
He said the 15-minute scene segment basically gave you a prison break that gives a good like here's how everybody gets together sort of scene. You had to see it establish who everybody is and how they act. He said that what's his face, Chris Pratt was very good. Mm-hmm. Star-Lord. He said Gamora, the girl playing Gamora, Zoe Saldana, that she was probably the best of all of them. That she was very good at the brooding, like assassin kind of thing. He said Bradley Cooper has a very good chance of being a scene stealer because his Rocket Raccoon is almost unrecognizable as being Bradley Cooper, right? Which is probably a good thing. Yeah. He said that some of his like mannerisms and things that he does kind of in the side like can be funnier than the thing that's happening in the scene. Right. Which I kind of thought of the trailer when you see them all walking with their guns and he's like pulling on his crotch. Like, I kind of see that sort of humor. Right, yeah. Which is exciting. He said the soundtrack is going to be weird. Which the soundtrack leaked. And it's a bunch of old 70s and 80s rock music.
I mean, you know, I'm kind of digging it just to have something different.
Apparently all that's tied to Peter Quill's character. Yeah. So he said he didn't get it in the preview, but he hopes that it'll be explained that this kind of all comes from him. Right. Which I think we see some in the trailer when you see like them putting on his headphones. And so
there's a little bit of that.
I'm excited about that. He said it is going to be weird because Guardians of the Galaxy is really the first test because it exists kind of outside of everything that's happened already. Mm-hmm. Obviously it's happening in space. You're not going to get, an Iron Man cameo. You're not, Hulk still on the Earth. Right. You're not going to get those sorts of things because these characters don't exist in that universe yet. Right. Obviously, it's being teased that towards the end, the third Avengers movie will get, Thanos will be the big bad, which means that the Guardians will come in then. Right. But we're probably going to keep those universes very separate for a while. So that's the only thing that he said he really was worried about, but thinks that from what he saw, it might pull it off. The other thing that he said that I want to reference was that apparently Vin Diesel as Groot, who can only say 3 words, I am Groot, apparently does a better job acting than Dave Bautista does as Drax the Destroyer, which is depressing for Dave Bautista. Right. But I don't know that much about the character. But I don't know if it's super important that he be like the best thing ever. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about it either, so we'll see. I mean, I'm excited after reading his review. I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
So. Yeah. So shout out to my buddy Jason who put that article together. I linked it in chat. We'll link it in the show notes, and that'll be all good. I want to talk real quick, and this is a segment I wanted to add in. Just because it's something that I do every week. But tomorrow's comic book day, everyone. If you are not a comic book reader, then you don't know, because I didn't until this year. But Wednesday is New Comic Book Day. That's the day that new comics flood into your local comic shops. And so I've just started collecting. And I use that term, so I'm not really a collector, they're sitting over there. They're not I don't have them in bags and boards. They're just sitting on a table over there, just a stack of them. Right. So I'm not super scary with them. There's a couple I'm getting soon that I probably do want a bag and board. Mm-hmm. Loot Crate this month. Which shout out to Loot Crate. You can go to lootcrate.com/hojjoshMC and pick you up a Loot Crate, and you can use the code hojjoshMC for 10% off your first crate. So you should do that. Because this month they're teaming up with Marvel. And one of the items is going to be a variant cover of a new series. Which a variant cover if you're not aware, is basically like all of those I have over there, there's other covers that exist that are a little more rare, limited pressings, stuff like that.
Right.
So they have a Loot Crate specific variant cover for, and spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear this, cover your ears, I'll give you a thumbs up in a second. It's for Rocket Raccoon. So it's the new Rocket Raccoon series has a Loot Crate variant cover. So that's going to be cool.
Interesting.
And so I'm excited about that. And I'll probably bag and board that.
Yeah.
I'll probably... I'm going to get the 100th anniversary of Spider-Man comes out this week. And that might get bagged and boarded just because that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Also this week, so that's one of the ones I'm getting this week. Amazing Spider-Man has been rebooted with the release of the new movie and everything. Mm-hmm. So they're actually 3 issues in, like 3 official issues. But then they've had a 1-point-something issue that's been going. It's called Learning to Crawl. That's establishing some new Spider-Man villains. So there's already established one named Crash, I think. Mm-hmm. And we're about to establish someone called Silk, who apparently is a girl that got bit by the same spider that turned Peter Parker into Spider-Man.
Interesting.
She got bit right after him. It bit him and then crawled over and bit her. So I think this new Learning to Crawl might establish that. If it doesn't, I know Amazing Spider-Man 4, which is coming out like either next week or the week after, is gonna have Silk in it. So that's another one I'm getting, which is Amazing Spider-Man, and then this week starts a new Spider-Man series called Spider-Man 2099. Which, real quick, Spider-Man 2099 I didn't know about until I played some of the more recent Spider-Man games. Mm-hmm. But it's obviously takes place in 2099. And Peter Parker is obviously not alive in 2099.
Right.
A guy named Miguel O'Hara becomes Spider-Man. And he has some different... His suit's different. It looks really cool. But basically he's kind of doing the Spider-Man thing in the future. Marvel did a comic about a year ago called Superior Spider-Man where Doc Ock took over Peter Parker's body. And in that run, Miguel O'Hara, the guy who's Spider-Man 2099, went back into the past to the current day to help stop some things from happening in 2099. The things that started with Superior Spider-Man escalated into some of the things that happened in 2099. So he goes back in time to stop it, and he gets stuck. And so apparently they're just starting 2099 back, but he's going to be stuck in 2014. So that should be interesting. I'm kind of stoked. If you haven't guessed, I really like Spider-Man. And probably those are the comics you're going to hear about. Occasionally I go in and I pick up a new one. Like last week I grabbed Deadpool vs. X-Force, which is another time travel one. I picked up Nightcrawler, which I didn't really like. But yeah, so it'll be a lot of Spider-Man. But I figure I'll tell you each week what I'm going to get. And then maybe give you recaps on what I thought about him real quick. And I'm going to get him into him sometime. It's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, I can just loan him my stack or whatever. But anyway, comics. I'm excited. I'm a nerd. What can I say? Alright, this one might take a while. So, and you just kind of heard about it.
Yeah.
But, I know people want to talk about this, so I'm going to. But MineOrama, or as the internet has taken to calling it, MineOrama. And so basically what is happening, and it's new things have happened like in the beginning, like since the video went up, and BebopBox put up a great video, and I'll link to that in chat and in the show notes as well. BebopBox put up a great video about this that runs you through the whole thing. And he's keeping like a tab going of like all the updates that have happened since he posted the video. Mm-hmm. So basically, I'll clue you in again, and we'll kind of clue you guys in if you haven't heard of it. MineOrama was supposed to be a Minecraft convention in New York City. It was supposed to be run in conjunction with the greatest science fair ever. So there's a guy by the name of Lou Gasco who owns the greatest science fair ever. He also, apparently, owns MineOrama. If you watch the video, it kind of explains this a little bit more. So he also apparently owns MineOrama. So basically what's happening is Greatest Science Fair Ever is a non-profit. MineOrama is a for-profit business.
Right.
So if you have these two that are organizing an event together, and I'm not saying this is what happened, because I don't want to accuse anyone of anything they didn't do. That's not saying that's what happened, but what you know about fraud is it's really simple. Anything MineOrama does, charge it to Greatest Science Fair Ever. Nonprofits don't pay the same sort of taxes. So you've netted a loss now at the end of the year because you did it for your nonprofit. All these things factor into a whole lot of fraud, if that's what he did. It gets worse as you start to examine it more. You find out that Lou Gasco was interviewed for Forbes. When he was interviewed for Forbes, he said they sold, they did 1,500 tickets sold to the Minecraft community. This many tickets sold to the city of New York, to their schools, which ended up being about 7,000 something tickets, which, if you're lowballing it, would have netted them $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. Now that they have canceled the event 5 days before it happened, they are saying they only sold, if you go to their website, they're saying they only sold 3,000 tickets, where here they are quoted in Forbes saying they sold up to 7,000. So there's a lot of money not being accounted for in that, and so that scares me and that worries me. A lot of YouTubers wouldn't even get involved with MineOrama from the get because they had a crazy contract. Apparently, they had in the contract they could take out health insurance on you if they wanted to. They could charge people for taking pictures with you. It wasn't all the other things. These cons thrive on YouTubers being able to go interact with their fans in a very low-key way.
Right.
And they were trying to take that away. So there's a lot of YouTubers that wouldn't even touch it. A lot of them did sign contracts where they can't even say anything negative about it. So we're never going to get the full story from some of them, which is frustrating. The other guy kind of in charge of running it was not Lou Gasco. It was a guy by the name of Jojo, who's part of this Minecraft YouTube network thing. I think he runs it, but he was kind of the public face of MineOrama. Mm-hmm. Apparently at some point he was arrested in a large-scale prostitution ring. He was also apparently arrested for drug conspiracy and other things. All these links, by the way, are in Bebop Box's video, which I've linked to you, and I'll link in our show notes. Apparently, Bebop also talked to someone who was working at the event, or was supposed to work, or works for the event, the venue. Lou Gasco never paid payments on the venue since the beginning of the contract, so he's been promoting this event that they hadn't even paid to rent the space, and then that space was actually given away. So they're saying it's postponed because their event got given away, their venue,
right.
But I mean, apparently it had no venue because they hadn't actually paid for it. We don't know what the activities were, so there are apparently no activities. Obviously, there are no backup plans. Mm-hmm. So where did all this money go?
Right.
That they got from people? They're now quoting they don't have as much as they were saying before. Apparently, this Lou Gasco guy has 4 lobbyists. It's getting crazy. The more you look into it, and everything that I've said and everything that you're going to find in these articles is all public domain. You can look it up anywhere, and it just takes a little bit of research, and you find out all these things when you start looking into who owns what businesses and yada yada yada. And
right.
So from a business side, doing this business wise, it's thoroughly depressing. I'm glad I'm not at a level where I got asked to be involved with this because, I mean, they were doing some pretty cool things for the YouTubers that wanted to go. With these cons, you make a little money when you go places, and
sure.
So I know there are a lot of people that sign, contracts. They're going to make a little money, go to New York, meet their fans. I'm glad I never got offered one because I probably would have taken it, just kind of thinking it would be really cool. The problem is there are people that got tickets. They're going to New York. They got flights, and now they're going to go to New York. There's nothing there.
Right.
And shout out to the YouTubers that are still going and trying to do fan meetups and stuff. But man, that's scary because, it's not controlled. You never know what can happen. New York's like, it's got all these rules. Like, if you're going to meet up in a public place, if you're going to have so many people, you have to have permits, you have to have police that you've asked to be there. Like, it's a whole thing. And, you know, people want to see their fans, and obviously their fans are coming this whole way, and it's just a crappy situation. And it's, the thing is, and this is the thing that kills me, it's the fourth one in 6 months that's had this happen.
Same problem.
And it's looking like this JoJo guy had something to do with at least 2 other ones, as far as like in the planning stages of things. And that's frustrating because from a business side, it's annoying. From a side of like knowing how much, like I've been to a lot of cons and I know how these fans are, and you guys are incredible. Like if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Twitch, I mean, you guys are great. Like here's the thing, us YouTubers mean jack if we don't have people watching us, and that's you. And so when we get to come to these places and meet you, we're just as excited to meet you as we are anything else, because at the end of the day, I mean, for some people, now I have a job on top of YouTube, but for some people, you're the thing that puts food on their table.
Sure.
And so that's, you know, that's crazy that we had that interaction. But when we go to these places, we're excited to meet you, and it breaks my heart really for, you know, all the kids, because there's a lot of younger kids into Minecraft, and a lot of kids that ask their parents, hey, can we go to this thing in New York? And they planned a trip, and they were going to go, and here it's been pulled out from under them.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Well, okay, so there was Meeting of the Minds, which was the one in Florida. That was the first one we heard of. There was supposed to be another Meeting of the Minds in New York, and that fell through. Then you had one in Australia called Minapalooza, which fell through, and that's the one that I think they're saying that JoJo was originally involved with, or if not him, his company, not his company, but his Minecraft group, his YouTube people, and then you have this one. So I mean, I guess that's technically 3, but one other con, other than, I mean, Meeting of the Minds Florida, but Meeting of the Minds New York too, that fell through. So that's a bummer, because I know there are a bunch of kids that were super excited to meet, you know, some of their favorite YouTubers, and now not only are they not doing that, if they do, it'll be really sketchy. But if not, they're going to New York. I mean, sure, they get a trip to New York.
Yeah.
But what about the money their parents spent on this thing? Because it was $150 for the ticket, plus an extra $50 that would get you like a gaming pass that would let you do all night like LAN parties. So upward, I mean, $200 a ticket if you did both of those things.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of cash to just drop and then have pulled out, and then no sure way like where we're going or what's happening. Now, all that being said, apparently MineOrama is doing a Q&A via Twitch, or they already did it, or they're going to do it sometime soon. So, I mean, we'll see what they have to say. The prospects are grim. I mean, when you just look at, like, when you look at their website, Bebop mentions this in his video, it's the same kind of splash page we get on all of these scams. That it's just like, oh, well, you know, it's not happening. We really wanted to do it. Here's a scapegoat. Here's a reason. It's always Mojang. They always say, well, Mojang wanted this, that, and the other, and we couldn't afford it, which means you shouldn't have been doing it, or, you know,
right.
Like, I mean, don't blame the company. They want to see their IP used in a good way, which obviously it's not being if you're scamming things, scamming people. So, but they're having the Q&A, and I don't know what they're going to say. We'll see. But I don't see a lot of good. I mean, here's the thing: if you can, get your money back. Cancel your credit card orders. You know, talk to your credit card people. Tell them to cancel the orders. Tell them it's, you know, you were never given the service that you were paying for.
Right.
You know, if it's whatever you have to do to try to stop the money, try to stop it from getting in their hands, because it's gonna be a nightmare getting it back. If they reschedule and all is well, fine, but I don't see that happening. Yeah. Especially when you get into the nitty gritty and start looking at all these links and all this proofing and everything that's going on. Like, it's not looking good. It doesn't look good. It looks very sketchy. It looks like it was fraud. I mean, that if you just look at the basic, you know, it looks like it was fraud. It looks like it was fraud to make a bunch of money And, we're looking at, possibly $1.5 million. Poof. We don't know where it went.
Yeah.
That's egregious. And so I'm sorry. If you bought tickets to MineOrama, I'm sorry. It's a terrible thing that happened to you. I'm glad I was never connected to it. It shows me, you got to do your research. You can't just sign up for something because they tell you awesome things. Like you gotta look into who's doing what. And unfortunately, at this rate, it seems like if you want to go Minecraft, you got to be super, super careful. Because at this rate, I can only think of one con that was been heavily Minecraft, and it was ArcadiaCon, and it did well, and it was not a scam. I'm mad I didn't get to go to ArcadiaCon.
Right.
But that's 1 out of 5 that have happened that weren't Mojang specific, and they were scams, and it hurts my heart because I know you guys really want to go to those things, and I want to see you at them, and I don't want people to make crappy ones. Do your research, kids. And then the Destiny beta, we know has been announced for a while. That starts July 17th, I think. Let's see. July 17th, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 players can begin playing the beta, which picks up from the beginning of the game and includes a handful of story missions, a strike mission, and a selection of PvP Crucible missions. The beta will go offline for maintenance on Monday, July 21st, and it will come back up on the PS4, PS3, Xbox One, and Xbox 360 on Wednesday, July 23rd. And then the beta ends on Sunday, July 27th, which tells us what I needed to know, because we weren't sure how long the beta was going to last. Mm-hmm. So now we know it's going to last till the 27th of July. And the game comes out in September, I think. I think it's September. Maybe not. But it's not July, that's for sure. So there definitely will be a wait between the beta and the actual launch of the game, which is probably for the best, because if I played a game from July 17th till the game launches, I'm going to expect to keep all that stuff.
Right.
But if they only give you, a couple of weeks in game, then you're not gonna really expect that. So that's cool. I'm excited about that. There's all sorts of filthy, awesome collector's editions you can buy. If you got 150 bones to drop, you can pick you up the Ghost Collector's Edition, which is going to have the expansion pass, which is something they hadn't announced until now. But apparently expansions 1 and 2 are already decided, and $34 or $35 is going to get you both expansions. They're treating this game like it's an MMO.
Yeah.
So, if you want to get that expansion pass, that's going to come in Collector's Edition. It's also going to come in your Limited Edition. It's also going to come in your Digital Guardian Edition, I think. Yeah, it's going to come in all of those. So, Ghost Edition is $150. $99 nets you, or $100 nets you the Limited Edition. And $90 gets you the Guardian Edition, which is going to give you a bunch of in-game stuff, and also going to reserve the next 2 expansions. No, Destiny is PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Everything. Except for PC. But yeah. But starting with PS4. PS4 gets to play it first. Yeah. From what I know, because I was actually, not to toot my own horn, but I was at Bungie back in September of last year, and they were telling me they have a 10-year plan for this game. So
it's pretty incredible.
That means we're hearing about 2 expansions now, but we're looking to other expansions, and I'm thinking now we know. So we're getting 2 expansions with that $35. So that's not too awful. To think you're getting expansions that are going to add on. Each of them includes new story mentions. Each of them includes new cooperative and competitive arenas. Each of them includes new weapons, armor, and gear. So, each expansion is going to net you more stuff for the game. And $35 means, what does that average out to if we take it to, what is it, 35? I don't do math well. Yeah. Cut that in half. 35 in half.
Not bad.
Let's see, let's do the math. Ready to do the math. Someone in the chat's going to do it before I can. Clear. No, divided by 2. So like 1750. Yeah. 1750 an expansion pack, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. So I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on Destiny. It's going to be big. I really do think just from playing the alpha, it's going to change gaming. It blurs the line between MMO and shooter, and I think it's going to be big. I think people are going to look at Destiny and go, okay, how do we compete? Mm-hmm. Just like MMOs all look to WoW, just so how do we compete with that? Then I think other games are going to look at Destiny and say, how do we make this immersive of an experience? Yeah. And sorry, that was a lot of gaming stuff that doesn't really pertain to you. But I couldn't be more stoked about Destiny. I gotta throw it in there. Feel free to throw your fanboy topics in. I know, right. Next time we write about that. We can talk about Disney and Universal we'll talk about it. All day long, which we actually probably should. Maybe next week we should talk about Harry Potter a little bit. Yeah.
Hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll have more to report.
So yeah, in a couple of weeks you're supposed to be maybe going to the new Harry Potter park. Yeah. So we'll let you talk about that, and because I'm not gonna go. Well, I would love to, but I'm just not gonna happen. Unless you want to help me out, you can send me some money. I'll take it. Oh man,
it's a new PayPal account.
Anyway, so yeah, if you're on YouTube, the links that I've talked about are all going to go down in the show notes. You can easily find them down there below. If you're here, they've all been here, and you can check them out on YouTube too when we put them up. But I think that's gonna end us for the week. That's gonna end us for the week.
I look forward to JBJ for sure.
Thank you guys for coming out. A small audience you are, but you're our audience, and so we thank you for coming and hanging. And don't forget to send us topics to Twitter at hojjoshMC at BeachJD. You can hashtag BADH or Beating a Dead Horse. That's right. We will get those topics. We will put them in the show notes. We'll talk about them. You can always talk to us on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. You're pretty active on Twitter. So you can talk back and forth. We love that kind of thing. And we will see you guys next week.
That's right.
Next week, unless something happens, and we'll let you know if that happens. We're trying to do every week, but we keep running into things. We have real lives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys, for coming out, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.